Here are the headlines for Monday, August 5, 2024. Be careful. Neil Gorsuch issues dire warning over Biden's reforms. Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch cautioned against hindering the judiciary's independence during an interview on Fox News Sunday. He emphasized that the judiciary's role is to protect Americans' rights against government persecution and warned against changes that could undermine this independence, such as term limits and ethics codes enforced by external entities. Gorsuch's remarks came less than a week after President Joe Biden announced proposals to reform the Supreme Court, including abolishing presidential immunity, imposing term limits on justices, and radically reforming ethics code. These proposed changes are seen as a direct challenge to conservative justices currently on the bench. Black Monday, futures plummet as VIX hits 62. Japan suffers worst point drop in history. Stock markets around the world declined significantly following disappointing jobs data in the United States that sparked concerns about a recession. The Nikkei 225 index in Japan dropped below 33,000 for the first time since early January, entering into a bear market, while the ASX 200 in Australia and the Hang Seng in Hong Kong also suffered losses. In Europe, benchmarks were down with the Euro Stoxx 50 losing 2.3% as sentiment was hit by updates about Apple and Nvidia, and circuit breakers were triggered in Japan and South Korea. From Biden to bonds, unmasking a template of lies. The world is shifting away from the United States dollar as a reserve currency and towards gold as a store of value. Nations such as India, China, and Russia are quietly accumulating large amounts of gold while reducing their holdings of United States Treasury bonds. This trend is driven by the desire for a neutral asset that cannot be frozen or devalued at will, and which retains its value over time. As more countries reprice their currencies against gold, it is emerging as a premier inflation-fighting and savings asset. Progressive Democrats in Michigan tell undercover journalists they were ballot harvested out of office by Muslim voter fraud network. Hamtramck City Council members Mohammed Hassan and Abu Musa have been accused of ballot harvesting with allegations that they paid for 300 ballots. A Project Veritas journalist contacted the councilman with an offer to acquire unmarked absentee ballots, which they accepted. Hassan explained how the fraudulent ballots could be counted by dropping them into a ballot drop box at City Hall. The Michigan Attorney General's office is investigating voter fraud among Muslim City Council members, and Councilman August Gitschlag stated that the Attorney General is aware of who is involved in the alleged scheme. Peak fear. Investors have shown the most extreme fear since the autumn of 2022, lows in equities, which is unusual to see even more extreme fear. Interviewer laughs at Pelosi for saying Biden should be on Mount Rushmore. Nancy Pelosi suggested that Joe Biden should be added to Mount Rushmore, despite reportedly being involved in efforts to remove him from office. In an interview, Pelosi refused to discuss her role in getting rid of Biden, instead making cryptic statements like "I did not call one person." She later praised Biden as a consequential president and suggested he belongs on Mount Rushmore alongside Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt. Equities, rates, and cryptocurrencies levels to watch. A key psychological level in the market is expected around $5,100, which represents a 10% correction level, give or take, although some analysts believe it may come in slightly higher at approximately $5,140. Don't buy this dip, JPM trading desk says not wise to fight the inertia. Consider tilting net short. Bloomberg is reporting incorrect information about JPM Morgan's trading desk based on an outdated report from last week. In reality, JPM Morgan's trading desk is advising its clients to do the opposite of buying the dip, contrary to what Bloomberg claims. The end of the beginning. The author argues that the recent market panic and expectations of rate cuts by the Federal Reserve may be premature, as the labor market is cooling but not collapsing, which is what the Fed wants. The plunge in tech stocks is also seen as a desired outcome by the Fed, as it takes the froth off stocks. However, the author notes that the current situation is complex and influenced by various factors, including geopolitics and the risk of war in the Middle East. The author quotes Leon Trotsky's statement, "You may not be interested in war, but war may be interested in you," highlighting the potential for unexpected conflicts to arise. 3 governors in 3 states declare emergencies as Hurricane Debby pounds Florida and threatens East Coast. Hurricane Debby made landfall in Florida's Big Bend as a Category 1 hurricane today, missing South Florida, also known as the Wall Street of the South. The National Hurricane Center reported that Debby made landfall near Steinhatchee around 7 o'clock Eastern Time, moving north-northeast at 10 miles per hour. After landfall, Debby is expected to dump 20 to 30 inches of rain across northern Florida and surrounding states, including areas still recovering from Hurricane Idalia in August 2023. The governors of Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina have issued emergency declarations ahead of the storm's landfall, with evacuation orders issued or planned for Monday in areas where the storm surge could be over 10 feet. Nomura exposes the ugly truth. Warns dip buyers' VIX volatility index never lies. We aren't done yet. Nomura MD Charlie McElligott says the phrase VVIX never lies is relevant now, as trade crowding over the past 2 years is having a reality check moment. The VIX complex shows dealers' short calls getting wiped out, leading to covering their short gamma and buying back large amounts of Vega. This is contributing to degrossing moves seen across strategies and risk premium. Iran says it must punish Israel, begins clearing airspace, Biden to hold Situation Room meeting. President Joe Biden will convene his national security team in the Situation Room, as the United States has warned its top Middle East ally, Israel, that an Iranian attack is imminent. The defense chiefs of both countries are discussing defensive and offensive capabilities, and Biden plans to speak with Jordan's King Abdullah. The United States believes that Iran and Hezbollah will retaliate against Israel, which could happen as early as Monday or Tuesday. Margin Call Monday. The author remains bearish on equities due to concerns about the Federal Reserve's basing decisions on questionable data, and instead focuses on why they hold this negative view of the stock market.